have smartphones.
It makes sense, though, that within a decade or two, you had no one had a smartphone to everyone spent hours on smartphones a day.
Yeah.
60% of young people have either anxiety or depression, which was less than 18% 20 years before.
Yeah.
Mental health issues tripled, more than tripled. That's insane to me.
Yeah, I mean, and it's something that I've learned. I think I shared this at some podcasts. It's like the happier and more content we are, the less we post.
So that's scary.
Yeah.
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to the Gen 180 podcast. How you doing today, Anna?
I'm doing great.
Man, I'm struggling through these intros because I'm still thinking about Imagine Two People. But anyway, Gen
We have
180.
too many podcasts.
Yeah, we're going to have to call it down to one. But
We need to have a sign for one, but the signs come off and we just change to...
you just put a different neon sign up.
to whatever it is that we're filming. We just change it so we just look to the side and be reminded of it.
That's brilliant. Well, I'm excited for today. What are we talking about today?
We are talking about being Christians in an age of social media. So, if you have been a Christian your whole life and you're older than 20, then you remember a time that we didn't have any of, the Facebooks and Instagrams and TikToks and Twitter and any of it, or a smartphone. So the world is very different and we're still learning how to navigate it. And there's some great things and some pitfalls. I'm going to talk about them.
People vastly underestimate how unbelievably powerful social media is.
Yes.
And how it influences almost every aspect of our lives today. We went 20 years ago from this being almost a non-existent thing. You had MySpace that first came out, or even before MySpace, almost nothing.
Yeah.
Into it being such an integral part of everyone's life where you can look at someone and you can almost guarantee not only do they have a cell phone in their pocket that's more powerful than most supercomputers 20 years ago, but that they're spending hours of their life on there comparing themselves to other people, subconsciously getting into these weird social predicaments.
Yes.
Maybe influencing their social circles without them knowing it, feeling lonely, all these types of issues. It's Pew Research showing that 60% of young people have either anxiety or depression, which was less than 18% 20 years before MySpace and social media. People forget we're the same humans that were walking around 5,000 years ago.
Yeah.
The exact same ones that were starting fires with their hands, little stick thing. I don't know, how did they start fires? That's what they did that's what the Boy Scouts do. They probably had a better way of doing it, probably flint striking or whatever. But, we're the same humans. We haven't changed much, but our environment changed so rapidly that we create all these issues for ourselves because we essentially have an environment that's progressing too quickly for our bodies to catch up.
Yeah.
And so anything addicting, whether it's television or processed foods or smoking or alcohol, whatever, if you suddenly have that as plentiful, cheap accessibility in your environment without any type of social structure to catch up to that.
Well, yeah, it's because every innovation, when it starts, that's what it is, right? It's an innovation. It doesn't exist. So you don't even know what questions to ask because the questions come with the process being developed. So if you develop a product and you just launch it, and then suddenly things start happening. It's like, wait, is this happening because of this? And there's what is going on? And then you start asking the right questions. And that's the case with social media. Even the way that it started, we were talking about this the other day. I was like, do you remember when Instagram was you just posted some silly photos and you just wanted to share what you did on the afternoon with your 15 friends and had 5 likes? And that was it. That was all there was to it. And on Facebook, you would go to Facebook. You had all the people from your high school group, and you had all those communities. Oh, no, the communities were actually a different social media.
Well, it started with MySpace, right?
Yeah. But
you had Tom creating MySpace, and
yeah.
It was you could really customize your page to have music and a back. It was so cringe.
Yeah, you had different colors, and you had this whole personality.
You select your top 3 friends, or was it top 5 or top 3?
I don't know. I did MySpace for a little bit. In Brazil, we had some this other social media called Orkut.
Oh, Orkut.
And Orkut was the best because it had the communities, and the communities was I hate waking up early in the morning. And then you were just part of that group if you hate waking up early in the morning. It was the early stages of memes, And then you had friends leaving you a message, almost like a review, like a Google review, saying
Would not recommend Tiffany.
And you would exchange, I'll write on your page, you write on my page. And it was just the silliest thing. You create those albums of photos on your beach trip like with 35 photos. They're all the same. You didn't edit anything.
No.
You just wanted to post it, you
Yeah.
know? So people saw like what you did on the weekend. And then it evolved to people actually having careers out of it. Like, no, I can be a person that people can just follow me. People that I've never seen.
That didn't happen for a while, I
Yes.
want to say. Like, influencing culture, was it 10, 15 years after that? Like,
Yeah.
were there people who became MySpace famous, who just, that's all they did?
Yeah.
You know, I don't know the answer to that. I would have thought that it really kicked off with Facebook.
Yeah, Facebook brought the fake profiles. Like there were these photos of people that were real, but you know it was not really the people, and suddenly they had like these like thousands of friends that were not like really their friends, but
Right.
everybody knew their faces, and then suddenly like there were real profiles that you wanted to be friends with, and then they changed the way, because before it was like you can be friends with this person, and then it became you can follow this person, and that's when things started going really downhill.
You didn't even need a friend's request. It was just you can choose a one-way
Yeah.
form of interaction.
Exactly. I can just see what you're up to. If I think that you're interesting, you don't want to be friends with me. I don't even know you, but I just want to see your life. And then people have the desire of having a life that is worth seeing by others that they have never met.
Yeah.
You know, isn't that crazy?
It's bizarre, but that probably always existed in some form. Like
Mm-hmm.
1,000 years ago, there were people who were probably the popular person in the tribe. They were very charismatic.
Mm-hmm.
You know, maybe they were the more likely to be elected in local government positions, you know,
Mm-hmm.
whether you're the town chief or the mayor or whatever. Or someone who's very influential, like
Yeah.
the person who would likely be the freedom fighter if you're, you know, you ever had a town that fell on hard times. They all look at the guy and they're like, what do we do? And he's like, you know, he stands up on his little like barrel or whatever they have in their their whole town. You know what I mean? It's like the caravan. There's always that type of person.
Yeah, but it's
and
limited.
It's limited, right? Or the town person that I keep saying town, but it could be a city. It could be people that are the town beauty that
Yeah.
everyone looks at. They're like, oh, look at that person walking down the corridor. Like they're just so incredibly beautiful.
Yeah.
And they're able to marry maybe someone of very high social standing or
Yeah.
someone with a very large business just from their beauty alone.
Yes.
And so you take those people and you put them in 2024. Now they create Instagram and they can create revenue streams just from that.
Yes.
So it's I guess using modern technology to leverage existing archetypes in humans.
Yeah, yeah. Our desire to be accepted, our desire to be popular, to be liked, you know, to fit in. You want to be looked at as someone that other people want to be. I don't really know why, but we're all like that. You want to have your people. You want your people to look at you and go like, look at the great person that they are, you know? And social media provides that. But if you're there from the beginning, it was very slow, like you said. Like you were just
Yes.
navigating it, you're just like creating your pages, not really thinking about it much, and then it suddenly changed. Now you can follow, you know, celebrities, you can follow whoever it is that you're interested in. If there's a cute guy or a cute girl, you're following them, or someone that has like a perfect body and you want that body, then started following them, and then people started offering things online. And so a person that has a very nice body started offering like fitness programs, and then you follow them because they have all these workouts. And on my case, it's just a lot of recipes and a lot of baby stuff. That's all my pages offer me, just like a lot of food and a lot of baby stuff, plant stuff, like gardening, because I'm an old lady. But then churches started catching up with that too. So you have like churches that created social media pages to share the gospel and to do like things online and connect online. So everything in the beginning is a tool that can be used for, whatever. You can use your social media account to create like a porn page, and you can use it to read Bible passages. And that's a decision that we all have to make.
Right. It's just a tool. You almost could call it amoral, where it's not good or bad, it's how it's used.
Yeah.
And another way I feel like of describing it is just it's a form of transmitting communication and data.
Yes.
It's a data transmitter over impossibly large distances. So it's a very new thing.
Yeah.
Which is great when you want to talk to someone from another country like you and me.
Yeah.
But it's bad when someone is using it to sell meth or human trafficking or, You know, there was
Yeah.
the birth of the Silk Road, which was the dark net version of Walmart, where you could buy anything illegal.
I didn't even know that until
Yeah,
now.
the guy who started it, I mean, it's total rabbit trail, but he's still in jail. He's been in jail for like 14 years.
Oh,
They
wow.
threw the book at him. He's going to be there for life. But there are hundreds of other alternatives of that. That's the dark web.
Yeah.
Yeah, so dark web, I feel like, is the classic example of where social media and internet goes bad.
Yeah.
And then, you know, church streaming and meeting with communities of like-minded people with hobbies, like that's where the internet is at its best. Same
Yeah.
with meme culture. Like, meme culture is incredibly hilarious. But,
Yeah.
you know, so it's good or bad depending on who uses it and what the intent is. But I think even if your intent isn't necessarily good or bad, you're just sort of on there and you're trying to figure it out, and you're just
Right.
like the average person like us, you know.
Yeah.
We're just like following people, and you're like, all my friends are on there, so I guess I'll do that.
Yes.
And then over time you find that you are on it so much,
Yes.
and it's never really making you happy. In
Yes.
fact, I've realized the more I'm on social media, the more anxious I become.
Yeah.
Like, I was never an anxious kid. Never. I didn't know what anxiety felt like. But
that's
then,
true.
you know, spending hours on social media, whether I was scrolling on Instagram or Pinterest or whatever, even like reading comments on my own videos on YouTube, like what do people think about this, and recommending other topics. If I did that enough, I started to get this like tight feeling
Yeah.
in my chest.
Yeah.
And I remember for the first time being like, what is this tight feeling? And you're like, I think that's anxiety. And I was like, what? Are you serious? Is that what the people have been talking about on the internet? You know, it's true. And so I started to graph it and take
Yeah.
notes about it and track it. And I had this notepad on my phone where every time I felt that feeling of anxiety, I would write down the time and date, what it felt like from 1 to 10, and then what I was doing.
Yes.
And a few months later, I realized about 95% of the time I was feeling anxiety, it was because it was right after doing a ton of social media.
Yes.
Whether it was scrolling on Instagram or Twitter or whatever, especially news. News would
Yeah.
get that for me. I would just be inundated with about 300 negative stories all
Yes.
at once. Our brains have not even caught up to
Yeah.
the fact of that much metadata being poured into our stimuli.
Yeah.
That's just not natural.
There's so much there because we were not meant to take that much data at once, that much information. It does so much to us. One, you get overwhelmed, like you said, like you have this feeling of anxiety, which is very common. There was a time that I had to like leave Twitter completely. I was like, I can't. Mostly during political cycles, it's like I can't do it. During the pandemic, it's like I can't. It would just make me so anxious. I would have trouble sleeping. So I just like, no, we created a rule. So like, we don't do phones at night. We just read books. And, you know, we did that for a while. We didn't stick to it, but we did that for a while. And we had all these rules. But even if, like you said, your intentions online is just like, you know, you're going to scroll for a little bit for 30 minutes, all these medias are meant to make you stay there. Like the people that design the algorithm, like they want you to keep scrolling. They want to get your attention. So they're going to offer you stuff that you don't really want, but you can't look away. So you have like the news cycles, there's like the worst possible things. And you have like, you know, on Instagram, for instance, like for girls, they offer one kind of thing. For men, they offer another kind of thing.
Yeah, it's gonna be a bunch of like swimsuit models or like I don't know, stuff like that.
Yeah. So
yeah.
It's an unfair game, and it's a game that we were never taught how to navigate. It's different than like 6 years ago when they were creating new models of fridge, and they had like these tutorials they put on TV, like teaching people how to use the new machine. And they had like, you know, all of these things that they were teaching you because it was new, like this is what you do. But now they just launched these changes, you update it, and now you can scroll forever and never get to the bottom of it. And you have like all these tiny 7-second videos that make your attention span so messed up. And you, at the end of the day, like you lost so many hours doing that. You learned absolutely nothing. There was nothing constructive in it. Maybe you saw like 2 funny videos and 1 sermon, and that was it. And you have no idea what that's doing to you, but it's changing the way that you think. It's changing how you look at other people. It's changing the way that your creativity works. And we're not aware of it. So it's important to be aware of what's doing to us.
Yeah, and with anything new and anything that's potentially dangerous, I'm always curious, like, well, does the Bible say anything about it? Are they
Right.
clear? I mean, it's so tough because a lot of these new technologies didn't exist back then.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
so what would the Bible say more broadly lately about some of the downfalls of social media.
Yeah, I always try to apply biblical principles as if it's the same. Like it's in an online world, and some people like to have a persona online, like you behave differently, you pose for photos, and you have like your this manicured life. But really, it's the same principles that apply. So they're like you said, like social media is such a big tool for good that can be used for good. So there are ways to use it and get something out of it and offer something in it and actually be who you have to be and be, like be loyal to your faith and not waste time and create practices that can help. So for instance, like there are times that we're not here and we can watch our service online, which is such a blessing. Like we can be on the middle of the road going somewhere or out of the state on vacation, and on Sunday mornings we just click on YouTube and we open our service and we know these people. We would be at church but we can't, and that's such a huge thing. But the other thing is that if we just stayed home because we didn't want to go to church anymore, just we're just being lazy, and it's right there, we can just watch it from home and you never step in a church again. So you have to be really honest to yourself, like, am I doing this because I'm letting this control me now and it's an excuse for me to not do the things that I used to do anymore? Or is it something that comes as a good tool for a moment that I actually need?
No, that makes sense. The digital version of church could be a permanent replacement for someone just out of convenience.
Yes.
Which is terrifying to think about, because then you don't get the community, you don't get the relationships, you're not surrounded by other people that are like-minded believers. You're not able to offer anything of benefit to other people, and they're not able in turn to offer any benefit to you.
Right.
So it's almost like this digital wall where people can just stay in their homes all day and just order Kroger groceries and just chill, right? But something else that you said got me thinking. People can sort of manicure their online persona. Like everyone does this, right? If you have 5 photos of a group photo, you're going to pick the one where you look the best or everyone looks the best.
Yeah.
One where you're not blinking or you didn't like, your angle. So, picking the best photo, no one would say, oh, they're so vain, they're picking the best out of 5. It's like everyone does that. But it's like how much time? There's like a limit, right? Then you're spending hours like doing like either editing it, getting the right filter,
Photoshop,
trying to like figure out the perfect title and the perfect hashtags and perfect whatever, and then maybe never posting it because you're just worried about what anyone might think. I feel like that could be going way too far.
Yeah, you cross the line.
Remind me where it says, let your answer be yes, yes, or no, no, and everything else is... Jamie, look up that verse. So it's Matthew 5:37. Let what you say be simply yes or no. Anything more than this comes from evil. This is part of Jesus' Sermon on the Mount, where he encourages people to speak truthfully and simply without the need for oaths or excessive words. So I view that as, is your online persona authentic in representing you?
Yes.
I mean, most of us would say no. We're probably picking our highlights. But are those highlights representative?
Yeah.
I think it's where it becomes, it crosses the line of being an idol. It crosses the line of being obsessed with self and self-image.
Well, you have to be honest about your intentions, and that counts for everything that you do online. Like you can post a photo with a very provocative like outfit or in a pose, or like you have something.
I feel like I should button up my shirt a little. Like, is this provocative?
You're okay.
I put this shirt on so quickly. I should have buttoned an extra button.
It's okay. You're fine.
I did it for the views.
But if you actually do it for the views, like, and you know it, but you don't say it, and you're alone in your house, it's so easy to just post a photo because you're trapping. Is that how you say it? Thirst trapping?
Yeah. You show a little leg, like for me.
Yeah, because and it's so easy to do that mostly when you're single. But you have to be honest, like that's what you're doing. And then you go like, well, would I show up like this in public, like somewhere, if I wasn't actually just posting this on a page that is not right here? Like, is this appropriate as I am a representative of Christ? And if you ask yourself that every time, in everything that you do and every comment that you do, because sometimes you just be saying things online that are way too hostile, and you just really being a person that you shouldn't be. And what are you watching? What is your feed feeding you and you're actually receiving that and wanting more of it? And, are you doom scrolling, or are you actually doing useful things? Like, are you wasting time when you should be working on other things and growing yourself? Are you leaving the side, like, to read the Bible to actually just be on Instagram? All these things, nobody's going to tell you. Like, your page is not going to cut you off. Like, God is not going to show up in a dream to tell you this. There's not going to be a Bible verse telling you, like, 1 hour of Instagram is fine. Like, no, you have to be honest and saying, like, I know that I need to fix these things, because it's so easy to be isolated in your house with a phone in your hand and you have the whole world in your hand and just be doing things that you shouldn't. Like, who are you DMing? What are your intentions? And by the way, we met online.
We did.
I do not condemn, like, online dating or you meeting people like that, because we live in a different world. But even like when we did that, there are things that you do and there are things that you don't do. Like, there are things that you say and there are things that you don't say.
It's such a slippery slope, because when you're online and you're trying to date, not to go on too much of a tangent, we had this other podcast about it, which you can find on our main channel. That we did with Simplexity, another podcast about online dating.
Yeah.
But it's just so incredibly slippery. It's probably it's the most unstable and skewed medium of communicating and trying to find a romantic partner that we've ever come up with as humans.
Yeah.
And just simply for the fact that it's as easy as not having to start a conversation with someone, but is simply swiping left and finding another person.
Yeah.
And when you have that optionality and it's that easy, you end up with skewed metrics of 3% of the guys getting 95% of the girls.
Yeah.
And vice versa.
Yeah, because you're looking at just a few things. They're not that important, but they attract. On that scenario, they're super attractive.
Exactly. And so the vast majority of people will never have any success or luck, or they're not going to have a good time on online dating.
Yeah.
And then just a few percent of the people will, but the way that it's skewed is such that it incentivizes people to be playboys, basically.
Yes.
And a bunch of guys can just rip roar and have like a ton of fun and just have a bunch of one night stands and shallow relationships.
Yeah.
And women are wondering, why can't I ever find any of the good guys where all the good guys go?
Yeah.
It's like, well, you swipe left on about 1 trillion of them yesterday. And anyway, I digress. The point is, online dating can work. I guess we're proof of it, but it's such a bad idea.
Yeah, I mean, I remember the opportunity when I have friends who were not Christians and they were all like doing the scrolling like on Tinder, and I don't know a lot of the dating.
Gosh.
I've never done a dating app.
I at one time, because I was just thinking about it like an engineer. It's like, oh, you put your profile on as many pages as possible, you meet more people. Holy cow. Tinder versus Plenty of Fish versus eHarmony.
There is one called Plenty of Fish.
Oh, yeah, POF. Versus Christian Mingle. Oh, my gosh. They're completely different worlds. The type of people on there,
Yes.
so different. The profiles are different. What people share, what the first messages are that people send, the spam that you get from each, because they're all loaded with spam, but the types of spam, completely different.
Yeah.
And I realized that the type of person that's on Tinder almost will never be on eHarmony, will almost never be on Christian Mingle, which almost will never be on Bumble and Hinge. And you keep going and you're like, there are these ecosystems, and for whatever reason, they've marketed and attracted a very certain type of person.
Yes.
And without even thinking about it, you subconsciously put yourself into an ecosystem.
Yes.
And you excluded yourself from any of the guys that navigated to another one, which very likely are people that are you would much rather be with and have a higher successful relationship with. And what's wild is that's a digital extension of what we do in real life.
Yes.
We're without even realizing it, subconsciously forcing ourselves into certain ecosystems with limited options and ignoring all of the other options, which probably contain your one true partner, but you have no idea. And I know this from experience, Anyway, I'll cut myself short.
No, but that's good, because these ecosystems exist because they attract a certain kind of person, and you are going to go to the one that has like whatever is that you're prioritizing or you're thinking the most. So if you're a Christian and you're thinking about biblical values, you're not going to go to Tinder. Like, that is not going to be a good system, because you're just going to look at a guy's face and decide by looking at his face
or abs
if you like him or not. Like, that is not how things should be. And if you talk to guys in there, you see like you said, the questions that they ask, what they want to know, like what they talk about. It is not really what is going to make a good relationship or even like guide you into a good relationship. So if you go with the right intentions, you realize very fast, like, I shouldn't be here. this is not their direction. You know, like I shouldn't DM this person. I shouldn't watch these videos. I shouldn't be on this little ecosystem that people are here and they're doing this and they're sharing this. I shouldn't be part of this. And that can count for anything, for dating, that can count for political stances, that can count for discussions online, that can count for like any topic that people are talking about and sharing their opinions. Like, is what you're sharing glorifying the name of God, edifying other people, being a light in the world, or is it just like you venting, you know, and you don't really care about what other people... I hate this sentence so much. I hate that. I don't care what other people think. Like, if you're a Christian, you should care about what other people think. Not like you're depending on other people's approval. That's not it. It's just what you do, you should do in love. You should do in love for others. Like, if what you're showing is not bringing a light to other people, you should care about that and you should change that. So if you're just like yelling online something, you know, like someone did something to you and you're sharing like the most outrageous things because you feel wronged, or, you know, like whatever it is that you consume or you post, like that reflects not only on you, but it reflects on Jesus too, because you are an ambassador.
Right.
So that verse, like the verse that I selected for this podcast, was in Matthew 5:14-16, that says, "You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden. Nor do people light a lamp and put it under a basket, but on a stand, and it gives light to all of the house. In the same way, let your light shine before others, so they may see your good works and give glory to the Father who is in heaven." So you don't really have to not be part of it. You know, you don't have to like not be online or not have social media, but do it in a way that is a light for others. Like, do it. You have a story to tell. Tell your story. Tell your testimony. Share Bible verses. You know, follow people that also glorify the name of God. You have any idea how much content, Christian content, there is today? Like, there's so many good speakers and pastors and Christian leaders and singers and worship leaders, that there's so much online that you can feed yourself of the Word of God for like 30 minutes a day online and share it with others on your timeline, and then, you know, share your testimony. And there's so much that we can do to reach people for heaven, you know, and be actually ambassadors of Christ that are not bad. You're using the tool for good. That's what we're doing right now.
It just made me think, being an ambassador for Christ, if people know that you're a Christian, like some people that's a very private thing, but for a lot of people, they know you're a Christian. Like either they know you went to church last Sunday or whatever. You're an ambassador regardless of if you're a good ambassador or a bad ambassador.
Yes.
Which is wild to think about. Most people think if you're an ambassador, you're like one of the people trying to, like, you know, share things and like point people to Christ and inviting your friends or neighbors to church on Sunday. But if you're flaming someone online or going on these toxic rants or sharing inappropriate things or things that you know are just like off color,
Yes,
you know, and you're still, it's like you're potentially being the opposite of what you said, a light on a hill.
Yeah.
You're being a light on the hill in the wrong way, and people be like, "Oh, well, if that's what a Christian is, I don't want any part of that."
Exactly.
You know, and it gets, you're almost held to a different standard. You know, and so being aware of that, I think, is important.
Yeah. And then that will bring the right people to you. That will bring, you know, the right partner to you. Because then, you know, when I looked at your page, immediately you were like, you know, I'm an engineer, I'm a Christian. And then I looked at your page, there was nothing inappropriate in there. If I saw you like passed out drunk, I would immediately just click out. Like, this guy is not for me. I know nothing about him, but I know this thing that he chose to post. And that didn't happen.
It's like, what do people choose to post? That's so interesting. You look at someone's picture, you're like, oh my gosh, like that passed all the filters. They were like, this is what I want the world to see. And what does that say about the person? But that's so interesting what you said. It's like the way you choose to live and what you put online. Not only is it a reflection of who you are, but it's almost deeper than that, because it's a reflection of what you want other people to think you are.
Exactly. It's a first impression.
It's a first impression, and so inevitably that will end up pushing some people away and attracting some other type of people. That's the whole root of, if you're not finding the right people in dating, you should change yourself type of thing.
Yeah.
You know, but I had so many relationships that didn't work out, and I realized, well, what am I attracting, and what kind of person would I like, and what would they be attracted to?
Yes.
And am I really the type of person that would be even on the radar of someone that I would really like to be with?
Yeah.
And chances are there's a delta there. There's a difference between the person you think could potentially be attractive to your ideal mate and then who you are today.
Yes.
You know, but that's such a difficult conversation to have with yourself.
Yeah.
But
And
it's worth it.
yeah, and you know, like it's all connected to what you can do to be better and to, you know, have a better presence online, but also what you can do to avoid the pitfalls. Like, and one of the biggest pitfalls online is the comparison. Is you comparing your life to others, and you see like other people getting engaged, and getting married, and like going on a boat or a trip to Europe. And
Oh, I want a boat.
yeah, I know.
I want a boat so bad. You're right. I gotta not look, because then I get so dissatisfied with my life. It's like comparison is the ultimate thief of joy.
Yeah, yeah, and it's so easy. Like there's so many young people depressed and anxious today because of what they see online.
It's most young kids, right?
Yeah,
Like
it's
Pew
really
Research,
bad.
what was it, 58% of young people have a mental health issue, whether it's anxiety or depression.
Which is way more than double what it was before social media.
So in 2001, it was 18 or 19%. So that was like, I want to say right when social media was like first dropping.
Yes.
You know, that was early on. So most people, even if you had social media, it wasn't really a massive part of their life.
No, we didn't have smartphones.
It makes sense, though, that within a decade or two, no one had a smartphone to everyone spent hours on
Yes.
smartphones a day.
Yeah.
And our mental health went down the toilet.
Yeah.
Mental health issues tripled, more than tripled. That's insane to me.
Yeah.
It's like a 1-to-1 ratio there.
Yeah, I mean, and it's something that I've learned. I think I shared this at some podcast. It's like the happier and more content we are, the less we post. So
that's scary.
yeah, in the sense that, you know, like when I was single, I felt more compelled to post like pictures because I wanted to be seen by a potential partner. Like, I'm being completely honest. Like,
Sure.
you want to share stories, you want to show like, you know, what you're doing, like you're such an interesting person, because you want to attract an interesting person as well. And you
I
want,
did that.
yeah, exactly. Like, we all do it. But then when I met you and we started establishing our lives, like, I don't feel like doing that anymore. So much so that we have like a family album that we do every year. And some friends were in our house a few months ago, and they were looking at our album, and they were like, we've never seen these photos. Like, we've been to so many trips nobody knows about. And they go like, oh, these are such nice, spontaneous photos. Like, they just look like normal life. I'm just like, yeah, we wanted to do this because we don't feel like sharing this online. But if you're close enough to us to come to our house, you can see them. You know, like,
It's like a
this is what we do.
private Facebook page.
Exactly, to people that actually matter to you.
That's funny.
But I know so many people who are so unhappy, and then they post a perfect life online, you know, and they post so much, and they want you to comment, and they want you to compliment them. And I'm just like, why do you need that? Like, you have so much. You already have a family. You already have a guy or a girl. You know, you have kids, but you need strangers to validate you. And that goes to the point that we made last week, which is like, you have to know who you are in Christ, because when you do, your identity is in him. You don't need to be validated by strangers. And when you're online, it's so easy to want that validation. Like, you know, I post something, I want to be called gorgeous, or I want
I
you
want to
know,
be called gorgeous. I mean, anyone would, right?
right. But like, if you need that,
Yeah.
if you know, like, I'm posting this just so someone says something about it,
Yeah.
like, that is a dependence that shouldn't exist. And if it doesn't happen, then you get so depressed. And if it happens the wrong way, if someone says the wrong thing to you online, then it can mess up your mental health. So that's what we said in the beginning about being honest about what we're doing, about our intentions. Like, if you know that that is really messing you up, seeing people a certain way, following certain people, are just like making you look at your own body and not like it, or looking at your life and not be grateful for the things that you have because they are not enough anymore to post. Like, your house is not beautiful enough to be a background on a photo, or like the places that you go eat, the food is not Instagrammable enough. Like, that is so messed up that you should realize what you're doing and go like, I should practice gratitude more. This is not helping me. So there was a point, I think, maybe 5 years ago, that I used to follow, you know, like these Brazilian models, because my country exports football players and models. That's what we do. And, you know, I thought they were beautiful. So I followed them just because they're beautiful. But then I realized that I just looked at them and they were so much more beautiful than I was. And I felt bad. And I was just like, why am I even following this person? To feel bad? Like to feel like I'm not enough or I'm not pretty enough? Like, no, I'm just going to delete this. And I deleted like all the celebrities and all the people that I thought, I literally went one by one. I was like, are you adding something in my life? Like, if the answer is no, get out of there. Like, you don't belong on my page anymore. And now all I follow is like the gardening, the gardening people and the cooking people and the Christian influencers that actually go to the Bible. They share messages every day. They tell stories, and it's so much better.
I love it.
You know?
I love it. It's almost like going back and doing a little gardening on your influences.
Yeah.
You know, which is so important. Another thing is if you feel worse after spending 10 minutes on a platform, probably do less of that.
Yeah.
Is that controversial? You know? But I feel like all of us would joke or we'd laugh at that. But at the end of the day, we'd probably all be like, yeah, we all feel worse after spending 10 minutes on social media. For me, I found the perfect sweet spot. Do I follow it? Not always. But I follow the 5-minute once a week rule where certain platforms like Instagram, for example, if I'm not on for an entire week and you just get on for 5 minutes, the algorithm freaks out. The alarms are sounding, and there's all these like imaginary addiction engineers running around being like, he's online. He's like, we can only give him the best of the best content. I get gems. Like the first 5 posts are absolute gems. They're like hilarious things that make me bust out laughing, or like the most scandalous gossip I've ever heard in my life, and I'm like sharing it with everyone. But after the 5th post, it goes way back down.
Yes.
It goes back down to the same thing. And the 6th post is identical to the 6,000th post, where
Yes.
it's just like a whole lot of nothing.
Yeah.
And so you disappear for a week, you
Yeah.
come back, and then the next 5 posts are gems. So I'm like, well, why don't I just gem farm and come back once a week? I mean, it turned into once every like 2 weeks or 3 weeks because
Yeah.
I just forget to use it.
You do, and I send you videos. Like I'll watch something on Instagram and I'll send it to you, and then basically like I have 40 videos unseen, and then you see all 40 one random day in a month.
Hey, I'm hacking the system for
You
my
are.
benefit.
It's working.
But you know, there's other ones I'll waste more time on, like on Twitter, which I guess is now called X.
X,
You know,
yeah.
I'll spend time on that just because I'm like, well, I'm not gonna get unbiased news from Fox or CNN or MSNBC. So
Yeah.
I might as well go to Reddit, which is still left leaning, or X, and you just have a whole bunch of different sides, and you get to see everything.
Yes.
So I don't know. That's been my compromise so far. But I should still 100% spend less time on social media. It's mostly when I'm procrastinating or I'm just
Yeah.
trying to kill time or
Yeah.
I'm tired and I'm just laying down and I'm like, well, what am I going to do? I'm just like scrolling. And
Yeah.
like I could have learned 2 languages. All of us could have by now, just on the amount of time we put on social media, which is such a depressing thing to think about.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you know, everyone has things they do that give them dopamine, you know,
Yeah.
and those aren't necessarily bad inherently. I just feel like we have to control our dopamine sources.
And that's it for today. Like we just wanted to put this thought in your head, like be aware, be mindful, really, very mindful, very demure. Just be mindful.
Oh, that's that new thing. I actually
Yes.
did see that. I'm not completely out of the loop.
Just be mindful of what you're doing and judge yourself. Really, nobody else is gonna do it. Like one day we're all gonna be judged by God, but today you're being judged by yourself. And like the way, and we should, because you know you have to hold yourself to the standards that you have. But if you're just scrolling through life and messaging people and posting things without really thinking of what's that's doing to you or what's that's doing to others, they're seeing that, then you know you just miss out on so much, and so much will happen without your knowledge because you're not aware. So just, you know, be aware, be constructive, be a light, you know, follow things that are light to you, and control like how much time you spend on these things, and don't let the online community substitute the real community. You know, be in community, have real friends that you see that will point flaws in you, that will keep you accountable. You know, go to church, the actual church, like walk in there. Don't be on your couch all the time. Just go see people, go do real things, because the online world, it can offer you so much. We can learn any language, we can grow so much, but it cannot substitute being with people. It is a good thing to be with other people. So don't ever forget about that. Even if the people online sound better and they're prettier and they tell you everything that you want to hear, don't get rid of the people in your life. Value them above than the people online that you've never even seen.
I love it. All right, I think that's a good place to end it.
Yeah, just leave your comments below and tell us what you want to hear next.
You guys have a good rest of your day.
Bye.
Bye.